All right, this morning while I was riding my bike down the street, I saw a man wearing a Spider Man backpack and yellow gloves in front of a business that was closed. And the first thought that came into my mind is, boy, do you look suspicious. And then the glare came. He started eyeing me like I was watching him going to the bathroom. That was what his eyes were saying to me. It's like, stop looking at me. And I was like, well, you're the one that looks awfully suspicious here. So when you look that way and someone looks at you, you might as well just keep walking. But there are three places in which cheating uh, is obvious. It was my first girlfriend in college, and I would come home and I smelled like someone else, right? So my first thought, I walk in the front door, and my first thought was I put my clothes into the washer and then I jumped in the shower so that I could remove all of the female smell that was all over me from another woman. And at one point, this girl, she said to me, well, you seem awfully suspicious that every day you come home and you do the exact same thing. And I thought to myself, well, you know what? It's you. You're just being just difficult, and you're being suspicious of me when there's no reason to be suspicious of me. But the reality was that there were lots of other little clues. I stopped answering the phone for a few hours or text messages. I had way too many Facebook friends that were way hotter than she was. And I would be gone sometimes for a couple days at a time, in which I was enjoying myself elsewhere. But what it really came down to is the final nail in the coffin for the relationship is that I was getting so much somewhere else that I just didn't want to do the deed with her. And so when that happened, she's like, you know what? He's not saying anything, but I know he's cheating. She even went to the point to hack my email and start going through my emails, looking at my relationship with other women. And of course, I was guilty as hell. But at the time, I just accused her of being nosy and suspicious, which was entirely the right thing to do because I was never going to stop cheating. It was just the way that I had, that I was. And unfortunately, when things end badly like that, you just kind of have to walk away and be like, well, I got away with my cheating for so long that, maybe I can do this again. But the reality is it's just way too much work. So, cheating situation number 2. So, if you're standing in front of anything, a wall holding a can of spray paint, if you're standing in front of a window holding a crowbar, if you're walking around in the parking lot with a hammer, or you're removing, let's say, items that don't seem like they belong to you from parked cars in the parking lot, chances are you're looking suspicious. In fact, one of the people that moved into the apartment in front of me had this problem the very first night that he was living here. There was a guy out in the parking lot that was breaking into cars. And when he walked up to him and he was holding a hammer, the guy's like, oh, I'm just admiring the view from right here inside of this car. And of course, the guy took off running. But in that situation, it's where you are, what you're doing, and your intentions. But unfortunately, just because you look suspicious doesn't mean that you are doing something wrong. But most likely, if it's the middle of the night and you're standing somewhere where you shouldn't be, it's a little suspicious. And everyone around you can tell that you don't belong there. It's like the people that you see inside of the grocery store. Like I just asked a cashier, it's like, how do you know someone's being suspicious? Well, number one, they'll try talking to the cashier and seem friendlier than they are. They'll pretend to be on their phone, or they'll be wearing a heavy coat when it's hot outside so that they can hide things inside of their coat. But you're never going to get out of that suspicious character realm as long as you're acting shady. So the final one that I think is the most important is all of these cheaters out here on YouTube that are gameplay channels, right? And our number one suspect is Korean Savage. So a lot of the people have come forward in their cheating and said, you know what, I'm joining lobbies on my bot account, or I'm doing this, I'm using hacks, or literally doing anything they can in order to give themselves an advantage while playing video games. And this is all great. You know, I encounter cheaters every single day playing Call of Duty. Like literally, their aim is too perfect. It's too fast. They will aim at you without, or shoot at you without aiming, and they always get you first. But when it comes to people who get caught, like people who are making money on YouTube, and for some reason, like the other day, 402 Thunder had a guy on there where the people in the chat were telling him to show us your program menu, and when he did that, it revealed all of his hacks, and the guy was like, you know what, I got caught. And that's really what it comes down to. When these big streamers get caught with their hacks up on the screen, it's just like you realize that it's over. You know, people aren't going to watch you anymore if there's people who were videotaping you while you were playing. It's like everyone screen records everything. So when you get caught with thousands of people watching you, the channel is done for. You can't continue working under those conditions. So acting suspiciously in a video game, or trying to pretend that everything's okay. And this is exactly what a person like Korean Savage has tried to get away with. He's tried to show himself as being a great player while at the same time acting very suspicious. Like I remember, this was about 6 months ago, where again, 402 Thunder was watching him play, and he just kept looking in the wrong direction while he was playing, because when you're playing a video game, you're kind of focused on the screen all of the time. But instead of paying attention to the screen the whole time he was claiming he was live comming, he was looking off into the corner. And the only time that you'll ever do that when you're playing a video game is you'll watch your mini map, but it's almost like a chameleon when you're watching. It's like you watch the mini map and you watch what's in front of you, but you never just look up off into space. So again, acting very suspiciously, and as soon as someone calls you out on it and you try to say that you're not doing it, you can't get away from it. The other famous person that got caught doing this was Ali A, who claimed to be doing live comms, while the reality was that he was just commentating over footage that he already had. But that's something that's incredibly hard to do in video games, is be able to play extremely well while you're commentating, because you either get one or the other. It's very few people who can commentate their own games because it distracts you from what you're doing. And I find this to be one of the really hard things for me to do when I'm live streaming in the afternoon, either on Twitch or on YouTube, is that I have to be able to talk and watch the screen, because if you do one or the other thing is going to suffer. If you spend more time commentating than you do paying attention to the game, then the gameplay sucks. But if the gameplay's good, then you're not talking, so what's the point of watching a YouTube channel where you're just watching someone play a game? You come there to listen to the commentary. But also, if you come there and you are listening to the commentary and they just don't seem to sync up, again, you get suspicious about what they're doing, and they eventually will get caught. All of them have gotten caught. I think 2 Chainz got caught, or there was a guy, or Kill Chainz, I think. Yeah, that's what his name was. He got caught joining bot lobbies, and you can tell in any lobby, when you join that lobby and you look at the rank and you look at how the other players play. Because as a person that's been playing Call of Duty for 13 years, when I get put into a lobby and I look around, there's certain suspicious things that I look at, because the skill-based matchmaking is always going to put you in there with the people with a KD as high as your own. So I have a KD of about 1.4, which is high for a current Call of Duty, because the skill-based matchmaking wants you to be closer to a 1. So I get pushed in there with people that are extremely good, and sometimes you lose, and you lose big. I mean, yesterday I lost a game by like 60 points because they put me in there as the only good player, and everyone else that was in there was not a good player. So as much as I could play for myself, the rest of the team wasn't going to help me. So we got obliterated. And then, of course, you look at who's in there, and they might be cheating. You know, some of the guys had like a 5 KD, and you're like, a 5 KD in this particular Call of Duty in Cold War, that's a little suspect. And it's always these little things that we're looking at when we look at the world around us. So when we look at just in general at our current environment, and you look at someone's home, let's say you walk into somebody's house and you notice that there's an odor, or that things just don't look well kept, or this is one that I saw yesterday while I was watching what was it? A mystery, like a mystery YouTube channel, and they had 3 cases of these particular mysteries, and all 3 of them were people that decided that they were going to call a loved one and then randomly take a vacation to a national park and then were never seen again. So you have suspicious activity. None of these people are considered outdoorsy people, but all of a sudden they decided that they wanted to take a trip to a national park. They called someone, told them how much they cared about them, and then they left. Their cars found in a parking lot, and they're never seen again. Suspicious right from the get-go. You know, and this is something that happens with people. If you ever meet someone and they're having a bad time, they have a breakup, or they're financially struggling, and they delete all of their social profiles, all their social media, their Facebook's gone, their Instagram's gone, their Twitter's gone, those are all red flags that someone's up to no good. That is very suspicious behavior for any person, especially if they are very active on those platforms. If all of a sudden they get shut down, it means that something's going on in their personal life. Again, very suspicious activity. And then they plan a vacation out of nowhere, and then they're going to a national park with no skills whatsoever. Boom, that is the super red. That is like a siren going off. It's like, you know what, this person's up to no good. Very suspicious activity. And you better find out what they're up to, because chances are you may never see them again, because this is how people disappear. This is probably the backdrop of the missing 411, is that people just get tired of life being terrible. And so they give you these signs, and all of a sudden they're gone and you never see them again.